Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ginger Delgado. I'm the PIO for the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office, and I just want to thank you for coming today and welcome you here. I think most of you already have the background on what happened. We had 3 kids, ages 4, 6, and 11, who fell through a frozen pond yesterday afternoon at 9100 East Florida Avenue. 2 of the kids were rescued, and they're now home, safe. One of the kids, a 6-year-old girl, I wanted to give you an update on her. She has been transferred to Denver Health Medical Center from Children's Hospital, and she's in serious condition today. So I know we reported that she was stable earlier, but she's in serious condition in the intensive care unit, and she is expected to survive. We've got our deputies here today. We have a firefighter from South Metro, and then we also have Dusty Talavera, who is a brave woman who helped rescue some of these kids. You'll hear from her today. And we provided the body-worn camera footage to you, as well as some pictures of the frozen pond after the rescue took place. So let's get started. I want to give you the names of the people who are going to be speaking today. We have 3 of our deputies who responded to the call, and they're all going to share information on what happened and what they saw when they arrived on scene. We have Deputy David Rodriguez. He's been with us for 7 years with the Sheriff's Office. We have Deputy Blaine Moulton. He's been with us for 4 years. And Deputy Justin Dillard has been with us for a year. Also, firefighter engineer Corey Sutton with South Metro Fire Rescue. He's going to speak to you. Corey was on the crew who responded to the scene. And then, of course, Dusty Talavera will speak after that. So thank you for coming. Okay, do you want to start? Sure.
Hi, so I'm Deputy Rodriguez with the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office. So yesterday upon arrival on the scene, we came across a juvenile female, unconscious, not breathing. We started chest compressions, CPR, until South Metro Fire and Rescue arrived, took over, and were able to transport the child. And we verified that all children that were involved were safe and doing well, at which point that was the end of our investigation.
Hello, I'm Deputy Moulton with the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office. As I was responding to the incident, dispatch updated me that the people that were in the lake were now outside of the lake, and that there was someone who was unconscious, not breathing. At that point, I knew I needed to grab my AED, so quickly grabbed that. As I responded into the apartment complex, I was waved down by someone. Pulled up next to him, grabbed my AED, ran as fast as I could, and upon arrival I saw a female about the age of 6 to 7 years old on the ground, not unconscious, not breathing. Checked for her pulse. She didn't have a pulse. Deputy Rodriguez started doing CPR while I prepped the AED and attached the AED pads on her, and we performed 2 rescuer CPR until South Metro arrived and took over patient care.
And I'm Deputy Dillard. So as Deputy Rodriguez and Moulton mentioned, so we arrived on scene with a chaotic crowd that were standing around, and we found a 6-year-old girl, like they said, not conscious, not breathing. Very cold to the touch after being pulled out of the ice cold water. Her eyes were open, her mouth was open, and she was not responsive. So we removed her wet clothes. She had a large winter coat that was saturated with the ice water. Removed that, was able to dry her off while Deputy Rodriguez performed chest compressions. And after, I believe, 3 or 4 rounds, and we were able to put on the AED, and while the AED was assessing what we would do next, we did see she did begin to breathe, and her chest started to rise and fall. And Deputy Rodriguez continued the chest compressions, and Deputy Moulton was able to give rescue breaths several times until South Metro arrived on scene, and then they took over from there.
Can you just tell us what went through your mind when you saw her start breathing?
Well, I know, like, we, at least for us deputies, we're all fathers, and we all have young kids, and Yeah, and it's hard to see a 6-year-old girl whose face is blue, with her eyes open and not responding and not breathing. But at the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office, we are blessed with great training. So even though that's not a situation we necessarily step into every day, we reverted back to what we were trained to do, and we're able to execute what needed to be done, at least for a long enough time till South Metro could step in. But yeah, it was it's scary. It's not something you want to see, but the training kind of prepped us to do what we needed to do anyway.
And then you were relieved that
Yeah, seeing her breathe before being transported to, I think you guys ended up going to Children's Hospital, was a massive relief for sure. And obviously she's still in serious condition, and we continue to pray for her. But at least knowing that, there's so many things that we come across that are out of our control, that, the things that we can control, we did the best that we could with it.
Hello, my name is Corey Sutton, firefighter engineer, South Metro Fire. We were dispatched to a ice rescue call, 1 engine, 2 medics, and a BC. As we were traveling to the call, we had gotten information that there was a juvenile that was getting CPR. So when we got into the call, Engineer Legrani, who was sitting backwards that day, and myself went right to the patient. So we ran over to them and did see that they looked to be unconscious, not breathing. We had one person in an ice rescue suit because we didn't know if anybody else was submerged, and then our officer. 2 medics were directly behind us and available to do medical care quickly. As Legrani and myself went to the scene, we saw an RP and asked them if there was anybody else under the water. They said 100% no. So that was a relief at that point. So as we proceeded, we saw the officers giving CPR, doing a wonderful job. We asked them to step aside so we could begin. Same, we started doing 2-person CPR. We had no pulse at the time, and we did not see any breathing at the time when we took over. As the AED was on, it was telling us to do compressions, so we began. Firefighter Legrani was doing the compressions, and he was counting. He said at 28 counts, he felt some type of rigidity or pressure back, and we heard gurgling, so we turned the young girl to the side, started doing back slaps, and she actually released some mucus and looked to start trying to breathe on her own. In my estimation, it was ineffective breathing at that point. He and I decided, the medics were bringing the pram to us, that we would pick her up and run her to the gurney as fast as possible. So as we got her to there, the medics were on scene. It was all hands on deck in the back of the rig. The medics did an amazing job. We got all the clothes off because obviously hypothermic is a big risk at that point, and we started hooking her up, getting her oxygen, and doing everything that we could. Quickly, they took the 2 medics and the 2 medics that were on the rig, so 4 of them went to the hospital. They did go to Children's, and then we had removed ourselves, and they went emergent to the hospital. So it was a wonderful event from the standpoint that somebody in the community did a heroic event and put themselves at risk jumping into an ice cold pond. It was amazing, and I think them and the officers was a huge factor that hopefully this little girl can survive it. Good.
Hi. I guess what happened, I was just looking out my window and saw a couple kids just walking on the ice pond, and I just, like, a few seconds later, I just saw them fall in. And so, I mean, like, instinct was to go outside and help them and stuff like that. And so I just, before I even realized it, I was out there on the middle of the pond pulling 2 kids out. And that's when I fell in the pond for the 3rd kid, and I tried to, like, hold her head up. I tried to hold my head up. The pond was really deep, but there was a young man that threw us a rope, and he pulled us out, and that's when I got out. and hope she's okay.
What was going through your mind when you were running out there and saving those kids?
I really don't think anything was. It was just kind of like save the kids, you know, like they're just children. So I was just worried about them. And didn't really think about it.
Did you hear screaming, or were you alerted?
There was screaming. There was a little bit of screaming, and I mean it was kind of chaotic. There was kids running, trying to get help and stuff like that. So it was kind of scary.
Were you having trouble yourself getting out once you fell in?
I did, yeah. I tried to crawl out, but it was too slippery, and I just ended up falling back in. And
And then can you tell us again how you got out?
there was a young man who threw us a rope, and I just ended up grabbing the rope. He pulled me out, and I grabbed the girl and pulled her out.
So in these cases, every second counts. And so how do you feel being part of this? I mean, you literally helped save this little girl's life.
It shocks me. It shocks me because, I mean, it could happen to anybody, and I mean, they're just children. They're doing what kids do, and so I mean, it's kind of bittersweet, you know. I mean, I just pray she's okay. And so.
I'm sure you're aware that people are calling you a hero. What do you think of that?
I guess it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's nice.
At what point did you know you needed to jump in? Did you have time to grab the code or anything, or just run out the door?
I just kind of put some shoes on and ran out. I just knew that nobody was really outside, so I mean, it was me, you know. I just knew it was me that had to do it. And it's pretty cool.
Did you slip in, or did you go?
I ended up falling in. Yeah, I kind of slipped. The ice broke.
Can you tell us how cold that water was?
Oh, it was freezing. I mean, my fingers still feel, I can't, it's odd feeling. I don't know how to describe it. But yeah, no, it was very cold. I mean, I was freezing.
So you were the hero for these kids, and then you fell in, and someone was the hero saving your life. Can you
Absolutely.
just tell us about that interaction?
I mean, I'm thankful for that young man that threw the rope, because I mean, I'd have been in there longer. She would have been in there longer. I don't know what would have happened, you know? I mean, I was struggling myself, so I'm really blessed to have somebody who's brave enough to do that. Definitely.
Are these kids that you knew, or?
I mean, I've seen them around, and I've seen them play and stuff like that, but no, I don't really, I don't know them.
You live in the apartment complex.
I do.
What do you think of these guys behind you?
They're pretty cool. I'll give them that. Yeah, no, I appreciate how quick they responded, because they were pretty fast. So.
How deep is the water in that pond?
I actually tried to go under to push myself back up so I could push her back up, but I could never touch the ground, so I'm not sure. It was very deep. It was crazy deep.
I was actually able to talk to one of the.
You have to step up.
Step forward. Okay. I was actually able to talk to one of the maintenance crew, and he said that the depth of that pool is around 15 feet. Yeah.
While
Correction.
you're here, can you just tell us about the dangers of we're having this really mild weather and ponds aren't as frozen as they may look?
I'm sorry.
Can you just talk about the dangers of icy ponds because of all the mild weather we've been having?
Oh yeah. Colorado's kind of interesting. It'll be very cold one day, and the next day it's, shorts and summer type of weather. So the fact that the ice may look like it's solid and it's been chilly a couple days here and there, in between those days it gets really warm and the ice isn't as thick as you think it is. So, and I'm sure just being, curious kids just wanting to go out and have fun and do something a little exciting, going out on the ice turned into kind of a dangerous situation for everyone.
So there were different organizations and departments part of this, also civilians a part of this. Talk about each link in the chain and then kind of the teamwork necessary from all of those links to save those lives.
Honestly, I would say it was just a perfect storm, to be honest. The fact that we had her witness these kids fall in there, and her quick reaction to just quickly put on some shoes and run out there and, save the kids, in putting her life at risk for the kids to make sure that they could make it another day is amazing. When I got there, I didn't see her. All I saw was the kid up on the sidewalk there, and the kid became my priority and Deputy Rodriguez's priority, and we did what we could for her. And then South Metro shows up and they started taking care. She rolled over and started kind of breathing on her own. So felt like an eternity, to be honest, but with everyone's quick reaction and timeliness, it worked out really well, and hopefully she'll pull through this.
And how do you feel a day after this?
I have kids of my own. I have an 8-year-old, and the whole time I was there, I was just kind of, I didn't want somebody to lose their daughter. So that was going through my head, and I wanted to make sure that she would be able to pull through this. I just counted as I was at the right place at the right time and was able to get there as soon as I did.
Corey, do you want to share about the ice rescue?
Yeah.
A little bit and how the dangers of playing on the ice?
Yeah, so during this time of year, it's a high priority for South Metro to get education out there. So hopefully this event can maybe change the thoughts and minds of the dangers for others, because like the officer had said, a couple cold days in a row, then the ponds freeze over, but then one day of sunshine. And it looks like it's a playful environment that you could play hockey on, but it's truly not. So as you can see, 3 young children, 6 years old, that are not very heavy at all, can fall right through. So please be very diligent on teaching your children ice safety and just understanding the risks of being on that type of environment. It's definitely one of our biggest target hazards. So actually this morning when I went from one station to another, that was the point at the kitchen table for us, was let's get the ice rescue suit out and let's train really quick, just to make sure that if we have another event like this, that we're fully prepared, our gear is ready. So this is definitely not the last time something like this will happen, but hopefully events like this can teach others to mitigate that risk a little bit.
Can you talk a little about pets too, and how to prevent pets from falling through the ice as well?
Yeah, so pets, this happens all the time. So potentially when it gets cold and icy, that every day within our district we'll have a pet through ice that needs rescuing. And truly when you're out walking during this time of year, that I would suggest keeping your pets on a leash when you're close to ice, because they know no different as well. They see like a winter wonderland and want to run and have fun on it, and that same thing happens. They get overcommitted, they fall in, and the same thing, we end up having to go out and do a rescue. Yeah, so I would just say keep them on a leash. That is probably the most important part.
Any tips for surviving a fall like this?
Yeah, as Dusty had said, the suggestion of being prepared of falling through ice, you can try to prepare for it, but once you hit that ice cold water, physically your body goes into like a mammalian effect where you can't breathe, you can't move. Like you say, your fingers, your hands, you have no dexterity at all. So I think that trying to stay calm, and when you're freezing cold, trying to stay above water, get your arms on the ice. A lot of people think you can kick out, but it's nearly impossible to do so. So getting as wide as possible on the ice, trying not to overexert and pull the ice and break the ice, and then yell as loud as you can, because that will, this type of event will require somebody else to be coming and helping you.
Do you have any idea how long she was underwater?
Yeah, that was one of the questions that we had as we were trying to move forward to the scene, is to get a time under. Based on the information that we have now, I would suggest that it wasn't very long, because as Dusty had said, she saw them go under and was immediately going to and on the ice pulling them out. So if I were to guess, I would say it was under a few minutes.
Can you talk a bit about the necessity of the bravery of Dusty as she was going out there?
I have 4 boys. And sorry. What she did was amazing. We were back at the fire station talking about how brave she was, how great the officers did. And gosh, I hope if this happened to one of mine that somebody like her was close by. Sorry about that.
Were the children related? Are the children related?
We didn't get that information. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were.
All 3 are brothers and sisters?
Siblings and cousins.
Okay. 3 of them.
Yes.
Anything else?
Yeah.
You guys good?
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Good.
Thank you very much. Very amazing job. That was amazing. Very well done.
Thank
I
you.
would have done it again. I'm gonna watch that window now. Watch that window.
Good. Good job, fellas.
Well done.
Appreciate you. Yeah. Appreciate you. See you on the next one.
Yeah,
For sure. Take care.